Good afternoon, everybody. Most of you, I think, you know me and I know you. Only one correction. The project that I'm working, not the first in the UAE, is the first in Sharjah Emirates, the first Hamur in Sharjah. Now I'm working like CEO in Sharjah Kalba, and we're doing Hamur, and we have a vertical farm, hatchery, including hatchery, all the components of hatchery, and grow-out farm as well. And we're starting our expanding in offshore with sea bream and Hamur as well. We did a lot of trials with red snapper, and now we have some gabot and some, like R&D. But this is in early stage, and we don't have anything to present at the moment. The point with the hatcheries, because today we must speak in the hatcheries, for me the most important is to find and understand what is the reality in the UAE. So far, and with the experience I have from 2014, I saw that it's not the matter what is the system that you are using or how many hatcheries we have and what we'll do with the hatcheries, the existing hatcheries. For me, the most emphasized point is to see if we really need hatcheries at the moment. Can you pass? Here we can see a few simple things. I did one study in the UAE consumption and what is going on with the aquaculture in the UAE. 2017, we had almost 3,000 tons production. Still, we have 3,000 ton production and maybe less some years. And the point is, do we really need hatcheries for this production? And the answer is simple, no. Just Umm Quwain can cover all the production because we can produce more than 20 million now, and with the new facilities, about 30 million juveniles. That means there is no any necessity for hatcheries at the moment in the UAE. This doesn't mean that we must stop, doesn't mean that finish everything. The point is how to find solutions to improve the aquaculture sector in general, and especially the grow-out farming in the UAE, in order to gain sustainability and to have a real necessity for the hatcheries. Can you? Another thing that we must focus in the UAE, and all the people are speaking about it, is the fish species. A lot of species, like in this photo, which are in interest, Hamur, sea bream, sea bass, sobaiti, gabot, the local species. I didn't include any freshwater fish, the truies, because mostly involved to marine, and I don't want to go to this sector, because we have shrimps and tilapia, plus barramundi and some other species that also can contribute in the UAE aquaculture. But this is not in my interest at the moment, and that's why I didn't put anything about this. But the point is what happened now. Sorry. We have, most of the farms that we have, they are using as main species sea bream. Very few farms like our farm and Al Zaraf and some other companies, they start with Hamur and the other species, but not with really commercializing them with quantities more than 100 to 100 tons a year. That means it's worthless to have a hatchery for this species at the moment. Now, what is for me the UAE future? If the government will not make something in order to increase or to help the aquaculture sector, we will never have any aquaculture, commercial aquaculture, which will be serious in the UAE. And another thing that I would like to highlight about the UAE aquaculture is just to see what happened in the other countries like Norway, Greece, Turkey. And I can say the same with tilapia in Egypt and some other countries. They focus on a specific species, 1, 2, maximum 3 species, and usually the successful stories are coming from one species. In Norway, they try with a lot of species. It was not only salmon, but finally, salmon is the main species, a local for them species, and as all we know, now they are the leaders all over the world. The same happened in Greece and Turkey. In Greece, we focus on sea bream, sea bass, because it was our fish, and it was powerful for us. We can cultivate very easily. The environment was the best. The same happened in Turkey, and now it's following Tunis and other countries in Mediterranean. If the UAE cannot find the flag fish, will never succeed for me. To produce here sea bream or salmon or any other non-indigenous fish will be useless because they cannot compete the other countries. We all know that sea bream is coming from Turkey, is coming from Oman now and from other countries with very low price. The UAE with the temperatures that it has and the cost that we have here, it's impossible to compete them. Here is this is the hatchery of Queen. And again here, I repeat the same thing. Does we really need more fish hatcheries? And the answer for me is clear, no. If the total amount of the juveniles that can produce today, if we decide to produce all the hatcheries juveniles, can be more than 100 million. And we need just 5 to 7 million. That means it's useless at the moment to go in the hatchery production. And that's why I didn't want to speak and to focus on what techniques or what technology you need in the hatcheries. You don't need any technology because you don't have clients to sell your products. Okay. Now, this is like a summary that what we have now. There is a limited market demand, the first and important. The government support compared to the other countries is almost zero. And here we must, I must highlight something. In Norway, when they start salmon and they had the first problems, the government stopped all the hatcheries and undertaken all the production in order to protect them because they had serious problems in production. And after, they turned it back to the private. But still, all the programs, the genetical programs in Norway and in other countries that really improved, is under the government. Here, we don't have any program. We started Queen 2014. It was a project 3 years, and after stop everything and start and restart every 2-3 years without any real impact in the aquaculture. The government support is not just to support with the juveniles in the hatchery. Are missing here the substitutions. There is no any subsidy. How we will compare Saudi, for example, which are giving 3 real per kilo, and here we have exactly the opposite. Instead of give, the price and the cost of the power is not similar to the other countries. It's much higher. That means all the time the UAE will keep higher cost than all the GCC countries. And this is unfair somehow, and the government must do really something for this. And this is something about, is similar to the high operation cost that we have here. Okay. About the fish feed, you all know that we are paying much more. This. Okay. We all know that compared to the Europeans or to Asian countries, in the UAE, the cost of the feed is at least 20 to 30% higher. And we start directly with 2 things which are really very expensive. The operational cost plus the feed. About the technical and the expertise. In the UAE all these years I realized something. No matter that they start in the beginning to pay some people, because if you want to make something you must find expertise. If you don't find expertise, sooner or later you will fail. In the beginning, they start invest to manpower, but at the end of the day, all they try to reduce the cost because they start seeing that the operation costs are increased a lot. And when you have 30% to 40% sometimes from manpower, you must reduce the cost. This had as a result now most of the hatcheries to operate with people very low-level laborers just to be cheap and to give them 800 to 1,800 dirham. With people like this, we will never succeed. No matter, because the power at the end of the day, we are not the managers. The managers, they will do their job. The point is, if down in the ground, the people who are doing the real work, if they are well paid and they know what they are doing and they can improve their level. And this is quite difficult at the moment. Another thing that all the time is the focus on the European species and not in the local species. For me, it's very important to find the flag species. If we will not find, we will never succeed. All the time, the competition will destroy our prices, our production, and we will not have the result that we really want. And as I said, this is the last that I repeat. What could be the flag species? The flag species, we can see it if we see what is the consumption in the UAE. Most of the fishes that preferred in the UAE are emperors, grouper, finfish. In finfish, we have subaiti, we have gabot, we have sam. Groupers, by its own, is one very high consumed fish, and we can focus on this. But again, and in this, if we see that the consumption is about 6,000 tons, we cannot go to very high level of production in aquaculture. This again will destroy the market. And the truth is, my fear is what we will do next year or the year after, because we start producing hamur, but the market, I'm not sure that is ready to absorb additionally to the imported, and the fishes are coming, the hamur is coming from the fisheries. I'm not sure that can absorb so easily. And if the price will drop, sure we will fail. Other species, for my opinion, that we can focus is emperors, but emperors are still in R&D stage, and also the prices are not so high in order to focus on this. Safi is a fish that all the time we are speaking a lot, but even these few quantities that are produced, some companies in the UAE, they don't gain the attention that they must, and the prices are very low. Now, another thing that they don't focus in the UAE is how to use their capex. In most of cases, I saw very fancy buildings, very nice technology for nothing. At the end of the day, we had very beautiful tanks, nice mirrors and windows and doors, but not invest in the real RAS, but not expensive and fancy RAS, because we have some, like in fish farm, they did something amazing, but it was just for show at the end of the day. They couldn't produce. And we must avoid things like this. And another thing that I didn't see real investment is the renewable energy in the UAE. If we don't reduce our cost, we will never succeed. Here we have the sun and we can use it, but so far, most of the people, they don't really use it. Okay, this is the last. I don't want to repeat a lot of things again, because all my idea, you understand my idea. My idea is only one. We must have, at the end of the day, cheap hatcheries with small quantities at the moment, because we don't have the aquaculture on the other side, the offshore farming or any grow-out farming to support us. That means we must stay in a small, low level at the moment. And if anybody of us has the power to push a little the government to start change some policies, to start attract investments or substitute the existing companies, we have a lot of possibilities to succeed. And if we will succeed, then after we can see what we will do with the hatcheries. Because at the moment, for me, the hatchery not really need. And everybody must focus on his vertical farm just to produce the fish that they need. But because I'm hatchery guy, I start with hatchery, I like to believe that hatchery is the future, and I believe it is a future. The point is, when we will have the right support from any government or from the investors to understand and realize that a nice hatchery with good production can support his production. I think things. Thank you.
Thanks, Evstatios, for your presentation. Really inspiring. So let's move on. So first of all, who are we? Skretting and Trouw Nutrition are both, let's say, business units within Nutraco. Nutraco is a global player in animal nutrition, aquaculture, etc. Nutraco has roughly about 12,000 people, and SHV, which is our mother company, which is actually family owned, they have roughly about 60,000 people, and they are into, let's say, Nutraco, but also a lot of energy business what they're coming from. Yeah? Good. The other way around. What is our purpose? Feeding the future. You can imagine we need more proteins in the future, and we think aquaculture will contribute to this protein gap what we'll have in the future. We have more people, so aquaculture will become extremely important. Nowadays, you can imagine we produce roughly about 24 million meals per day with our customers on seafood. So it's a lot. Skretting by numbers. Skretting is about 125 years old, so started already in the 1800s. We have 30 production plants worldwide in 17 countries. I'll show you in a minute. The business units we split up in salmon, because salmon is the biggest business we have, let's say, since the beginning. Latin America, where shrimp is huge. Southern Europe, talking about sea bream, for instance, what also Mr. Lampakis was talking about. Middle East, Africa, tilapia, it will be catfish, etc. And Asia, all kind of species, from shrimp to whatever. 2.5 million tons of feed we produce, and we spend a lot of money in R&D. That's very important for us. If you look at the locations, the plants are all specialized. There's only one plant which is in France, which is actually exceptionally, because they produce all the feed which is for livestock. That means the first stages for the fish. This is in a factory which is really only dedicated for these small diets, extreme conditions, etc. The rest you see, let's say, in the south, you see, let's say, the factories where we produce the salmon, like in south of Australia, Chile, but also in the north, like in Vancouver and Norway, where we produce the cold water species like salmon. In the middle, you'll have the shrimp factories, and let's say in the Mediterranean, you have much more the factories for, let's say, sea bream, sea bass, etc., like in Turkey. And Africa is more catfish, it is tilapia, etc. What is important for us? Imagine that we feed a lot of species. I think we are nowadays about 60 species we feed, but you have to feed them from, let's say, from broodstock all the way to the grow-out diets. So you need a lot of different diets for all these species. So you can imagine you can never produce that in one factory. So that's why we specialized anyhow. For us, quality is extremely important. So that means from the beginning, all the raw materials have to be, let's say, approved in our companies. So we need to audit our, let's say, suppliers, and then they have to follow the whole quality system till the end. Let's say, whenever the feed needs to be sinking or floating or whatsoever, it's all controlled in a very good way so that the output is every time exactly the same. Sustainability is becoming very important nowadays, because we started in, let's say, the salmon business, but this is a really mature business in the world. It's already there for many years. And nowadays the consumers, they really want to talk a lot about sustainability. So nowadays we have carbon footprints for our batches, what we deliver, etc. So also our customers can use these data to convince consumers that we are doing the right things. Yeah? The last part is really important because digitalization happens very fast in our sector. We started in the salmon, of course, but nowadays if you look at shrimp feeding, Asma, we'll talk about it later a little bit more, it's important to feed the right quantities. Don't overfeed, don't underfeed. Both are having negative results. So we use cameras nowadays, we use digital feeding systems, and we use also predictive models to show, okay, what is the exact quantity of feed needed for the coming days depending on the current temperature and oxygen levels. That is very important. And our farmers, they like that. So they can become more professional and also they can make more money out of it. If you look at our value chain, I'll have a small video here. Oops, I thought that's not working, but okay. It's a small video about how the... It's fine, it's fine. It's a small video, but you will get it later. How the value chain works. Let's say from this, at the end, let's say the food going all the way backwards where we as Aquatic are in the value chain. Yeah. Good. Next. If you look at the value chain here, then for us, we are right in the middle as Aquatic. We are partnering very close with our customers, which are the fish farmers. And from them, we get very good information about the, let's say, what the retail wants, what the consumer wants, what are really the needs of these customers. That is for us very important. So our innovation pipeline comes from our customers. On the other hand, we are also very closely connected to our suppliers. You can imagine nowadays there's a scarcity of fish oil, there's a scarcity of fish meal. So we are constantly looking at raw materials, new innovations, new processes from the food industry, whatever, which can help us, let's say, to produce high quality feeds. And nowadays, if you look only at the salmon sector, we turn them from carnivores into, let's say, vegetarians nowadays. So we don't use so much, let's say, fish meal anymore. For us, that is very important. Also, the feed ingredient manufacturers, we work very closely together. But we have also a sufficient team on that, which can do that. The team who's doing that is the innovation team. So what you see here, we have a lot of researchers, about 40, a lot of them PhDs, many different nationalities. Also we collaborate, we have a lot of research stations, and we have also a lot of own research stations where we can run trials. That is very important. To give you an idea, in Norway is actually where we started. That is the Lerang research station where we started. Originally this was only for salmon, for instance, in the beginning. But that was a very good start for us. In Norway, where we have also our own laboratories which are dedicated to aquaculture. So let's say, talk about NAR systems, what we have running over there with our customers. All the feed plants are connected to that system on NAR, so they use all the same calibration lines. Next to that, they have also a lot of chemistry, what they can do over there. The bubble is actually where all these R&D people are there. They are thinking about, let's say, the needs from the customers, which kind of topics are there, which kind of disease problems they are facing, and they are, let's say, creating these new things. Yeah. Welcome. Good. What is also important is, because we have so many feed mills, that technology about making feed, extruded feed, is not so easy for everybody. So that's why we have over there our own feed technology plant, where all our operators worldwide are going there to run a training on how to make good extruded feed. So we have our own in-house academy to do that. Another thing what is important, we started last year in Ecuador, the Guayas research station, which is fully dedicated only for shrimp. It's about an investment about 6 million over there, and only focused on shrimp. Down south, Chile is mainly also on salmon. Fengzhou is warm water species, all kind of species in RAS systems what we have. And Motsukane is a lot on sea bream, sea bass, Mediterranean sea fish, whatever, what they are working on. Yeah. What is also important is on the top in Lerang is the RAS systems. Nowadays, you see that we are producing nowadays also salmon in hot climates, like in China, like in Japan, like in Miami, in the US. We produce salmon. And that's where these are always produced in RAS systems, and there you need specialized feed also. So that's what they designed over there. The other way around. So we roughly produce now 2.5 million tons of feed. They have to be unique. Why? Because actually you need to start from broodstock diets, starter diets, nursery diets, all the way to grower diets. And they have all the specific raw materials what they need. And nowadays we see also every time new novel ingredients are being used, from insect meal to algae meal, whatever, it's commonly used in our diets. The environment and production systems are also helping us to find the right diets. You can imagine for a RAS system, you need feed which has no dust, because otherwise you have a lot of pollution in your filter systems, etc., what you don't want. So it has to be dust-free. We have now a couple of factories which are only dedicated for RAS systems. Sorry. Physical properties, no dust, no leakage of oil, for instance, that is important. And sustainability. So sourcing, sometimes we need to source, let's say, raw materials closer to home to have a lower carbon footprints. These are typically discussions we have with customers about, okay, this is my formula, but this raw material comes from Latin America. Can we not source something similar closer by to reduce, let's say, carbon footprints? Yeah. If you talk about what we want, our ambition is to be the #1 solutions and, let's say, service provider in the aquaculture business. And that's why for us important is to innovate with impact. When we come with new ideas, they will ask us immediately, what will be the impact? And if you look at, for instance, Ecuador, the shrimp business, we started using, let's say, automatic feeders since many years, which grow the industry fantastically. And this kind of digitalization, this really helps to move, let's say, the aquaculture sector to the next level. And that's what we really want to do. And customers are the core of that. So the customers, they will tell us, okay, guys, this is what we need to do. At the end, they have to benefit from that. And it has to be sustainable. So we don't want to use antibiotics, for instance. That is for us also very important. Let's talk about life cycle nutrition. So we start from the broodstock, let's say the small fish, and then we go to the grow-out phase. What is important for a hatchery, and Eustatios he knows that, the success in the hatchery is strongly influenced by the hatchery management. And also, feed is a key element, how to feed them. But also the management in hatchery is extremely important. It's not simply just feeding fish, throw it in the water, whatever. It's more complicated. And if you want to start, let's say, a good cycle, then let's say start it in a good way. So the first part of life is extremely important. It is different for all kind of species. You can imagine we have this for 20 different species. We have this life cycle programs. But you see, for shrimp, it's completely different, for instance, than for sea bream. Sea bream, talking about sea bream. So we start with, let's say, the broodstock diets, which are called vitales. Then we go to feeding rotifers. And then we talk about, let's say, the life start for the young fish when they are weaned. Broodstock management. So first what we need to do is having a good broodstock fish, which will produce the right quality of, let's say, offspring. That is very important. And to maintain health of these broodstocks in the right way. Yeah. What is important, because the first feed what our offspring will get is the yolk sac, which is produced. And that is important because the first 3 days, that's what they eat. Your battery is running out, is? Joy, your battery is running out. No problem. But this is actually the feed they get the first 3 days. So we need to be, let's say that the eggs have to be of good quality with the right nutrition for these first 3 days. And otherwise your survival rate will go down. And that is important. Thank you. If you look at the larval nutrition for sea bream, so what we use nowadays and for many years already is to use these kind of copepods and artemia for the first few days. That's what they eat. And these copepods, and they are important. That is actually, we have to feed. In this case, we have to feed, let's say, the food for, let's say, the larvae. So we do that here with, let's say, one product, which is algae-based, which is containing a lot of DHA, for instance. And this is a liquid product, so it's actually very small quantities what you need, but very good to promote, let's say, these small creatures as food for the larvae. And the other side is actually, let's say, also the rotifer production to multiply them very fast. And that's what we do. Then, after 30 days, 45 days, depending how they are doing, they are weaned, and then they can start eating feed. That's when we come in. We start with a very small diet. You see here, it's 100 micron, and then we steadily go up. Because the fish is growing, the size of feed they can use is also growing. So let's say the size of feed has to be linked to the size of their mouth. And that's how we do it. What is also important here, and that's what we did, for instance, in our research station in Mozzecane, is to check what is the right feeding schedule for these small animals. Because you can imagine it really depends on, let's say, the temperature of the water, which is varying a lot during the year. And also in this way, you see here also the recommendations how much to feed, that you're not overfeeding, but also not underfeeding, to have the optimal growth for these small animals. So setting our fish up for life. So in this way, we have dedicated formulas for each size. It's really amazing how many different feeds you have already for this one species. You can imagine triple that with another 20 species. And the pellet size has to be matching the mouth gap. And also it has to be good quality without leaching. Because I can imagine what Estavios also showed in the RAS system over there. You don't want to have a lot of leakage of oil. You don't want to have, let's say, dust in your feed, which is destroying your filter systems, etc. So the quality must be very good to have optimal water quality. Here you see some pictures. So the crumble on the left for the very small part, then the middle is the slow sinking crumbles, and then we go to micro pellets. That's how we do it. Thanks a lot.
You can show the piece.
Okay, yes. Yeah, one sec, you can do. Asma is supporting me.
Any chance to ask questions?
We're still in time?
Yes.
All right. Okay. So this video shows, let's say backwards, let's say how we are in this food chain. So we start with food. With salmon and shrimp, harvest, production, feed, and then it stops. Production, delivering of raw materials, and finally the raw materials. So in this way, it's the other way around. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Roger, for the introduction. So, Salam Alaikum. Thank you very much for the invitation to VIV. I'm very excited to be here today for many different reasons. First of all, because I can see some old and new friends. We have the opportunity to discuss about how the industry can collaborate to contribute to the region. So this is the perfect platform to do this. And also for the warmth, not just of the people, but also of the environment. Just spoiler alert, I live in Scotland. Until a few hours ago, I was at 3 degrees, so I'm very, very happy to be here. So both Hay and Eustathios, before they mentioned the importance of the early start, this is the focus of the presentation today. Every hatchery manager will agree that the early starts can be both a bless or a curse for them. We need them. Early start is a very strong start, but easily, if you mess up something, you can mess up big times. So it's very important. So basically today I will present to you some technologies that have been developed on how to minimize that gap and reduce the risks between the live and the dry feed, so we can move more on the formulated side of things much faster and reduce the dependency on live feed. So live feeds, they work. We know that. That's not a secret. Especially when you know how to use them, they work really, really well. This is the natural feed, but they are very unstable, they are risky, and they are costly. We know that we have to use another species of animals in our hatchery, sometimes 2, sometimes 3. We have very high instabilities. It depends on the enrichment, on the operations availability, on the protocols, etc., etc. We have the environmental impact, we have the biorisks again. So it's a lot of headaches, if you like, that they come together with the benefits. So can we replace them? That's one of the main challenges that all the hatcheries are facing, all the feed manufacturers are. This is the main target, that we want to go away from live feed, we want to go into a formulated feed. Historically, what we have is, yes, we can win the larvae, any larvae, go straight away into dry feeds, but we will have a lot of challenges. The performance is not going to be as good, and historically what we've seen is that we have a lot of gut inflammation, we will mess up the nutrient balance, it's not very easy to get it, and we have very high leaching at the early stages. So if somebody wants to develop something and that can reduce this gap between the live and the formulated feeds, the first thing that you have to do is basically go to nature and try to mimic nature. So the first step, it's basically take the 3 main species, Artemia, rotifers, and copypods, in different stages, different protocols, and analyze the nutritional profile of all these species. So you can analyze all the lipids, all the nutritional profile here, and the amino acid profile. And based on this information, we have developed a new solution that can reduce the dependency on live feed. So the second step is when you have this information about the nutritional profile of the live feed, it's try to match it, try to formulate something that's the same, if not better. So in our case, we add a maximum amount of protein that it was encapsulated compared to the live feeds, and we did the same with the lipids. You can see here the nutritional, the orange one is the Artemia profile, the dark gray one is the rotifers, and the light gray is the copepods, and the light green, green, it's the new solution. So you can see here the profile of this new solution. It's pretty close to what nature has to offer. You can see over here the amino acid profile and the fatty acid profile of the different live feed species, and again the light green one is the formulated liquid diet that we have developed. So again, the lipid content has been increased to enhance the nutritional intake, and we targeted a DHA to EPA ratio close to 2.5. So the technology behind it can be summarized into this picture over here. So it's basically encapsulation within encapsulation, 7 different patterns behind it. And the first one starts with encapsulation of lipids and unsaturated fats. So it's based on the double emulsion technology that effectively encapsulates lipids and micronutrients. So we have the bioavailability and the stability that we need. Then we have protein-based encapsulation, which enables, so it protects soluble protein hydrolysates and amino acids, and we prevent nutrient loss in the tank, and we have very, very highly digestible proteins. And then, when you put together, when you encapsulate the lipids and you encapsulate the proteins, you put together the rest of the ingredients, and you have a pH responsive coating, so you can captivate and encapsulate all the ingredients together. And at the end, we have a very low temperature manufacturing process, just to make sure that we don't destroy the integrity of some of the sensitive ingredients, such as vitamins, etc., etc. So in terms of protection, we have 2 main aspects. The first one is the chemical protection. We use clay as a dispersion vector. We have a targeted oxidation protection through a homogeneous distribution of water-soluble antioxidants at the very, very core of the lipid phase. And then as the physical protection, you can see here the description. So this is basically the outside of each micro particle. So it's clay structuring and formulation of a tortuous path that hinders the diffusion of gas molecules through the barriers. So we can allow to have very targeted nutrient leaching in inverted commas in the gut and not in the water. So if you look historically, the challenges that we've been facing and where we are today with these new technologies. So basically, by encapsulating separate nutrient families, we are allowed to protect from interactions between these nutrients, and we have more freedom to introduce more functional ingredients. We have a much lower leaching. We have less than 10% within 5 hours. And also, the moisture content is much higher. We know that in an ideal world, all the larvae want something that is semi-moist, but for practical reasons, we can't really do it. So this is a liquid feed. We can go up to 71% moisture, which is much better for the gut, to avoid gut inflammation of the larvae. So step number 4, the nutrition is there. We know what nature is doing. We can formulate it, but can it be practical? So we did a test in controlled and in commercial environments. We know that we can store it for up to a year at 20 degrees. There is no need to refrigerate or freeze anything. It's just a room temperature. if you live at 20 degrees. And it can be distributed by hand or by peristaltic pumps. It depends on the setup of the hatchery. And the biosecurity is very high. Every single batch is quality controlled, is produced in controlled conditions, and we use acid conservation to avoid any microbial growth. We have the quality in place, but the most important thing now, do the fish agree with us? So we had two main questions in our heads before we start everything. Again, it's a minor detail that people quite often forget to check, but the two main questions that we had is that, do larvae require moving prey for feeding? That was the main hypothesis. Can something that's not as flexible as an Artemia or a rotifer stimulate enough the chemical and the visual cues for the larvae to go for it? So the setup, again, I had to hide the commercial names here. It was a standard commercial protocol that we use. We had two treatments in quadruplicate. The first treatment was 100% Artemia, standard live feed, and the second one was with 50% less live feed. And the dry feed was standard commercial feeds. And what we saw, it was that both growth and survivals and also the size distribution of the larvae was comparable across treatments. And that was achieved by using 50% less Artemia. And also we managed to get some nice pictures of the microparticles in the gut, so we're convinced that that was the reason that the larvae were growing. So fish agree with us so far. Then we go on to the next step, step number 6. Does make financial sense. At the end of the day, most of things in life are about money, I'm afraid. But live feeds, if you want to have live feeds in your hatchery, you need some things, you need costs, you need skilled staff. It was mentioned before that skilled staff is a key parameter on the success of the hatchery. You need specialized transfer and storage of the live feeds, refrigerated or frozen sometimes. Facilities is a totally new facility with all the costs, enrichments. They might be very good, but if you don't know the protocol, how to enrich them, you are wasting your money. You need to know how to enrich properly. You need expert staff, you need technically advanced staff, and you have all different indirect costs. Or with formulated feeds, the cost that you have is the feed cost. And this is it. So based on our experience, what we've seen is across the board, again, depending on the hatcheries, depending on the conditions, you are talking about 20 to 40% cost saving compared to live feeds.
With Dr. Sharma, when he said that we need to go small, not big. I saw a lot of people, when they start the aquaponics system, they build huge, and then they mess up the balance. They cannot solve the problem. But if somebody asks me, if you want to go commercial with this system, what you would do, I will build another phase, like I will build it in phases. So when one system breaks down, the other one doesn't break down. And you also build, when you build the systems, you build the knowledge among your staff. This is what I did actually. This is, I want to show you now just the circulation of water, how it works. So the water here, it started from the fish tank, of course, which is full of ammonia. It goes to mechanical filter where we take out the solid waste, and then it goes to biofilter. In the biofilter, the bacteria convert the ammonia to nitrite, then to nitrate. Then the water that's full of nitrate goes to the plant bed. The plant will use the nitrate, then the clean water will go from the plant bed to the fish tank again. So actually, in general, we are reducing the consumption of water in the agriculture like almost 90%. This is unbelievable, I know, but it needs this is the practical, this is the truth. So with this, you produce actually two things. You produce the vegetable and the fish. By the end of the season, we sell the fish, and we have an organic vegetables. The only thing that here يعني missing for me, whether it's organic or not, is the fish feed. When we buy the fish feed, unfortunately, we don't have a lot of supplier for fish feed. This is one. So there are يعني like one or two. They are in monopoly. So, but we also don't know how they produce this. What is the ingredients in this fish feed? Okay, maybe you can help me, Mr. Anthony. So this is some of the data that we did. I did a huge data analysis, and actually I collected a lot of information. I wrote a paper about it. Now I'm writing a chapter in one of the books, international books, and so there are a lot of information. I will continue to do this because I feel that this is really my passion, and this will give really good indication for a lot of people who, especially they are new in this field. So this paragraph shows the ammonia, nitrite, and nitrate in the system during the season. And this is from the water coming out from the biofilter. So actually this is what we want. We want the water, when it comes out from the biofilter, it has almost zero ammonia and nitrite, but a high nitrate. This is another chart showing the fish performance during the season. So this is the average weight of the fish. Then this is the FCR, the feed conversion ratio. I compare my figures here with the international or other people also and other research, and I found it really comparable. Okay. So the fish rate, you need to reduce it as much as possible. This means that the performance is high. Then the specific growth rate of the fish also, and the average feeding rate. Now, okay, this is my perspective and my recommendation. Start with simple design. Don't make it complicated, because I saw people, they put a lot of money in the infrastructure rather than making the right design, So simple design is very important and as cheapest as possible, because you want to reach the visibility, the break even as quick as possible. If you invest a lot of money in the beginning, then it will be hard for you to return your money. Stabilize the system is very important. The water here, all the season is the same. We don't replace it. We only add makeup water that we lose in the evaporation and when the water from the plant, for example, and that's it. Control high temperature. Of course, we face in some months high temperature, and by the way, also this system is not under greenhouse. It's in a net house also. So I'm not operating it all the year. It's only during the season, which starts from September to almost April or March. Balance the fish feed and waste to meet crops' nutrient needs. So this is really important. The balance is very important. The person who really helped me and educate my staff and upgrade my system is Stathio. So this guy, he did really good job with me. We created really good team, to make this successful. Establish stringent monitoring system. This is another thing that we cannot find laborers who can easily, you teach them about how to measure ammonia, how to measure nitrate, it's on daily basis. But we did it. Daily maintenance activities is very important. I will give you one incident happened to me last season. The laborer who is told that every day you have to come in the morning and check all the roots and clean them with the fresh water. He missed 3 days only. He didn't do it. We lost 50% of the harvest because of this. So small small steps that cannot be taken, it will be really impact the harvest and the production. Capacity building and staff training is very difficult, but it's very important. When I invite my friends, my neighbors and the farmers, and sometimes they want to see, they told me that this is too much sophisticated. We cannot do this. I said to them, no, it's very simple. You need to understand only. So understanding is the knowledge here is very important. And keep recording and archiving the information is very important. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm Engineer Abdul Fattah Abdurrahman Ali. I'm aquaculture development expert in DAFSA. And by the way, DAFSA Abu Dhabi Agriculture and Food Safety is the lead of the development of agriculture and food security here in Emirate of Abu Dhabi. And one of our programs now to be developed according to the UAE government is developing of the aquaculture sector in the Emirates. Unfortunately, all of you have opportunities here. We talk too much about the inputs regarding the feeds, but we forgot the main challenge that we are facing here. This is the fingerlings. For that, we've asked or requested DAFSA to produce like a presentation in breeding of fish. For that, we present now the main things that the breeding. This presentation should become the fairest one, but finally it comes the last because this is the fairest stage of the production. Not working? Ah, okay.
It's the middle one.
Yeah.
The middle one to go forward and the pointer.
We'll go back. Okay. When we talk to the hatchery process now, I choose like species. This is local species in UAE, and they are all well produced in the open hatchery, not in RAS system hatchery, or we never use any kind of technology. So this is the hatchery workflow, starting from the brood stock management, then the selection of the brooder for spawning, hatching, and larval collection, larva rearing, nursing and weaning of fingerlings, harvest and transfer to grow out units. For the brood stock, we usually depends on two sources for the brood stock. The brood stock means the mothers of the fish. Maybe some of us here that are not specialists. Collection from the wild, and the other we are growing them on the hatchery here, from larvae up to breeding stage. Here we have the species, the local species. English name, Gruber, Spanglic Emperor, Silval Silago, Bluefin Cyprine, Gold Line Cyprine, White Spotted Rabbit Fish, Cobia, and Grey Mallets. These are the species we work on. The brood stock facilities either to be in the floating cages or inside tanks. These tanks might be RAS system, and in the floating cages, it will be in the open cages, open to the main weather conditions. For the brood stock management, we talk now skirting. They said that they have a special feed for the brood stock. Now, here we usually use for the food, we use like fresh sardines or fresh fish, plus enriched feed with vitamins and minerals. This will be 3 to 4 months before the spawning season, which is very important for the yolk sac. Maybe one of the presentations they talk about this here during this year. The spawning season is the main thing. We should know the spawning season here. This is spawning season according to the UAE conditions. It might not be applicable in other countries, but this is according to the UAE condition. For that, I selected like 7 to 9 species. Some of them are spawning naturally during the summer, and some of them is spawning naturally during the winter time, winter time. For example, here, if you check here, you'll find all the spawning seasons start from November, and then during June, July, August, there's the off season. And most of the fish here, they cannot survive the harsh condition of the temperature. Temperature is very high. That is the reason, unless we go for closed system. But here in this presentation, everything is happening according to the nature. There is no any technology. Fish is spawn naturally during to the season. This is for the checking of the brooders. This may be 1 month or 2 months later, earlier before the spawning season. We have to check the brooders to know and make sexing for them. And we we separate them earlier. For example, here we have to check the females on the right, and this is the male on the left. We check the ovaries, and sometimes we use like cannulas and we use as tubes. We suck the egg and check it under the microscope to see what it is within the right diameter or not. After that, we'll take the fish to the quarantine area. After we check them from the floating cages or from the concrete tanks outside, these are broodstock facilities. We check the right spawners, whether male or female. After that, we take them to the quarantine tanks. We'll take in the quarantine tanks for 1 week or 15 days. After we make 100%, they are 100% healthy, then we take them to the spawning tanks. Before we put them in the quarantine tanks, usually we make sure there are no any parasites. We use like fresh water to immerse the fish, just like 30 seconds or 45 seconds. At that time, all the parasites will be released, and then we'll take it to the quarantine tanks. This is the second step after the quarantine tanks. During the quarantine tanks, we check the male and the females. You see here in this picture, the male oozing milk, and the female, the eggs is released. At this time, this fish is ready for spawning, and then we'll take them direct to the spawning tanks. In the spawning tanks, this is the spawning tanks. The tank is an oval shape. And you see here, this is like a collection bucket for collecting the eggs after spawning. All the spawners are the ratio, it depends on the species. Sometimes 2 males to 1 male, 1 male to 1 female, like this, and this is the ratio of the spawning. So the spawning tank are fully designed to draft the eggs, because most of the eggs of the marine fishes are floating eggs, and the good eggs usually stay on the surface of the water. For that, the shape of the tank is oval, and then we have like a collection bucket that we collect through the eggs. Spawning might be occurs naturally, it might not. If not, then we have to induce the fish for spawning. We use like hormones, HCG hormone, carbohydrate hormone, luteinizing releasing hormone. These all hormones technically used in the hatchery and they are famous for in the hatcheries. And this all the species here in the Latino names, whenever they need, whenever species need spawn naturally, it is yes, yes, yes. Not spawning naturally, it is mentioned there also. The act of spawning, there is a video here. It will not available. You will feed this, the time of spawning or the time of the fish releasing the eggs will find the male is following the females inside the tank, inside the spawning tanks. Once the female releases the eggs, the male will release the milk and then the fertilization will occur inside the water. I said most of the fish eggs is floating. The good eggs is floating, except one species which is called here Safi, Siganus canacululatus. The eggs is adhesive eggs that stick to the tank. This species we cannot count the eggs because for the floating we have to estimate the eggs. We have to estimate the eggs as to calculate the hatching rate later on after hatching occurs. But for the second species, which is eggs stick to the tank, we'll wait till the eggs hatch. After that, we'll take the larvae and then we count them. See here, this for all species, all the eggs is pelagic except number 3, the eggs is demersal and adhesive eggs. So it stick to the tank direct. By this technology, we'll take the eggs, egg from the collection bucket and then put it in these cylinders. These cylinders are graduated cylinders. We know, for example, before we took like a sample for each species to count how many eggs per 1 ml. And for example, here we have like 400 ml floating eggs. 400 ml we will multiply in the number of eggs which is in the last column for each species. For that we estimate the number of eggs by every spawn for each species. This is for the eggs incubation. It depends also in the species, and the density also depends on the species. It's mentioned there in that in the table. Water temperature also is mentioned there. Incubation period also depends on the species. It varies. Some species need like 24 to 26 hours, and some 35 to 42 hours. It depends on the species for the incubation period and hatching period. And the salinity also, I mentioned that here something I need to mention, because unless we go here for salinity 35 to 37 BBT, we cannot breed any kind of marine species. So this is the ocean or the ocean salinity. So 40 BBT, we cannot success. 45, we cannot success. Below 33 PBT, for sure, the marine species breeding will not be success. Nowadays, even in the Gulf here, the salinity now is about 44. This 44 cannot operate a hatchery unless we dilute it with fresh water. But after we pass the fingerlings, we can grow the fingerlings in the grow out units in the salinity from 5 to 55 PBT for fattening. And this is depends on the species also. And this is the main key. that it is impossible to breed marine fishes in salinity over 40 ppt. And this is for the eggs collection after after the eggs start hatching. The larvae collected from here, and then the larvae disinfected, counted, and then transferred to the LRTs. And also, this is a technology for harvesting this bucket is 60 micron, 80 micron mesh. It will only siphon the water, and the larvae, they are trapped inside. After it is 30 liter volume. After completion of the collection of the larvae, they will take a sample to count the larvae, for example, in 30 ml, and then multiply it into 30 liter, and then transfer to the LRTs. And the stocking density also, it depends on the species. This is the larva rearing tanks. The density according to the species. See, some species from 40 to 60 larvae per liter, and some species 50 to 60 larvae per liter, and some 30 to 40 larvae per liter, 20 to 30 larvae per liter. This is like big species like grouper and cubia. The most important thing here is the feeding. And the feeding, one of the topic today, one of the topic presented about the alternative live food, one of my colleagues. And here, the key success of the breeding is the live food. And the live food contain of rotifer, artemia, copepods, plus algae, green and blue, brown algae. And in fish, this algae is used to produce rotifer. Rotifer size is about 60 to 200 micron. And you see, this is a global larvae, and this is the rotifer size. Global larvae, 3 days after yolk sac absorption. After that, the mouth will open. At this time, all the fish will search for the live food. If they not find live food, they will not survive. But at this stage, they don't need any kind of dry feed or micro diets. For in the hatchery, this costs usually 60% of the hatchery cost, the live food facilities. You have to produce microalgae to feed rotifer, and then you have to produce rotifer to feed the larvae from the late of the day 2. After, on the day 3, when they open their mouths, they should find the rotifer is moving inside the tank. Because if even rotifer, if it is frozen, they will not feed it. They will die all. So this is the main success we have to produce the rotifer and the algae. And even for the shrimp, directly on the after hatching, immediately in the nublia stages, they depend solely on algae, not microfeeds. So this is the importance of the live food here. For the marine species, for the freshwater species, no need for live food. For tilapia, for example, tilapia larvae, they feed with their mothers inside the tanks, no need. But here is different. You see here, even this rotifer now, they have 3 sizes. This is S super small size, a small size, large size. Even for the grouper, you see the grouper, you will find the grouper like 10 kg, 15 kg. But at the time of at the first time when it is larvae, the mouth gap is very small for the big fish now you see now, grouper, and also for sea janus. For that, unless I have super small strain in the hatchery, I will not success in the grouper. That is the Artemia. Artemia usually bought from the market. I guess it is the most expensive in the hatchery for both shrimp and for both shrimp and fish, and also the grade of Artemia. It's not from the Asian market. It is there is a big variation in the grade from Asian market to Europe and American market. This is the most expensive for the production of the shrimp and the fish. This is the artificial diets. Now scattering, they are working in that for fish. This may be less than 500, less than 100 micron. This is immediately come after Artemia stages. And this is also feeding artificial diets. Also, it depends also on skirting for all the marine. But for the freshwater fish, they are local fooders here. But still now in the UAE, this is the challenge now. The inputs of the food, the technology, everything is not available here. This is the chart of feeding. As my colleague mentioned, the live food is more expensive in the hatchery. So the larvae, I should wean the larvae. Wean means what? To transfer them from the live food to the inert food. So if I continue to produce rotifer and produce and giving them Artemia, the cost will be very high. So that will not happen suddenly. It will happen gradually. For example, from day 1 to day 2, the tanks will be completely in darkness. From day 4, day 3, we'll put algae, green algae, to make shading for the larvae and make them relax inside. And also the green algae will be like a conditioner for the water quality. And then we put rotifer from day 2. Some species continue till day 14, day 16. Okay. Before we stop rotifer, we have to add Artemia. And 4 days before stop rotifer, 2 days before stop rotifer, we'll add Artemia. And before we remove Artemia, before we stop Artemia, we should add copepods. And then before we stop copepods, we should add artificial feed, starting size 198, maybe less. After that, we'll continue in the live feed, and then the larvae all will be transferred to the nursery units. And this is the larva rearing. We should check water quality. We should maintain the water flow through with filters that we can pass water but cannot pass the fish. Also, we should environmental conditions regarding the biosecurity also inside the larva rearing area. This all the surface cleaning, hygiene, everything that should be clear in the larva rearing area. This is the optimum conditions. You see temperature 35 to 37. Temperature also here, which is 25 plus minus 2 for all species here. Oxygen, pH, photoperiod, these all parameters daily will be monitored inside the hatchery. Harvesting, we usually before harvest, the most critical thing is the cannibalism. This is the most critical. Before harvesting, for each species, we should know the behavior of it. If it is a carnivores, we should take care of the feeding timing. At least we usually feed to cliptum to satiation for this species. If it is a herbivorous species, also we should know that. Before that, we should monitor this behavior of the cannibals and the size variation inside the tanks itself. We should make thinning and then separate the big sizes in separate tanks. This is whole process happen in the nursery unit. This is also the weaning and nursing of fingerlings. This is the water salinity still now 35 to 37 because we are still in the hatchery process. After that, we will make grading for the sizes, and then we transfer it to the grow out units. This is the feed for the fingerlings in the nursery area. That fish now become fingerlings, so the feed size will be bigger. And then this is all floating feed. It's not sinking feed. We usually use sinking feed for the fish in the cages. And sometimes we add like sardines for the fish that they are carnivores. And the nursery, usually the fish reach like 3 to 8 grams. After that, we transfer them to the grow out units in our facility there. This is the grading process. We have like graders. This is, each grader have a size. According to size, the uniform size will take to a separate tank. The other will retain to the same tanks. This is the size of each species after 50 period rearing for all species per gram here, and the size of the feed. This is in the nursery unit. This is how to harvest the fingerlings from the nursery tank, and then to prepare them for the grow out tank. And this is the final stage. And then from here we'll start the fattening. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Roger, and good evening to all. So we have been actually listening to many people, basically from the private sector and also a few from government. Basically, I'm an academician, a professor in aquaculture, and at present an administrative officer in a university. The university has a importance as, the university is important as this is the first public funded fisheries university in India. Earlier it was a college, then got elevated to a university, and we have different programs, and we want to associate with a Middle East entity for opening up a center, and we have fisheries, we have ocean, we have management, we have engineering, and so on. Our Honorable Vice Chancellor is Dr. A. Bijukumar, and our Chancellor is our Governor, then the Minister, and like. So this is a picture which shows the global shrimp industry, but I am not taking much of your time on this, as many speakers have already discussed about these points. And also some points which have already been discussed by Dr. Gopakumar and also by Dr. Manoj Sharma will also be like touching, wherein if at all too many similarities are there, I will skip those slides. This is a rough estimate of the shrimp industry of the globe. And VIV MEA, as you know, has changed the complete fate of the industry, as we have been suffering a lot from 1995, mid-95, by the white spot syndrome virus, and the monodon got actually vanished to a great extent, and now it's in a revamping stage for sure. And these are, and like while we are actually discussing about VIV MEA, the most important aspect of VIV MEA is it withstands huge, actually large stocking density. So that can be considered as the most important aspect. Like it can be reared just like broiler chicken, wherein you have very limited area and many chicken will exist in that area and you can feed, and ultimately that we call it as actually amenability of that species or else domestication of the species like that. We have only very few species which are so domesticated. If you take the example of trout, okay, it can withstand very high stocking densities. And you can take some species of that sort. Even tilapia possible, African catfish possible, pangasius possible. Likewise, this species can withstand very high stocking densities. In the morning itself we told even 300, 400 per cubic meter, no problem for it to survive. Only thing is that you have to give them proper rearing conditions. But in the case of other species which do not have that much domestication history, like we have been talking about Penis indicus or else Penis monodon, these species, they haven't been that much sophisticated and it is difficult for them to actually like survive in such a crowded condition, one. Then second, these are almost benthic in nature. So they will be sitting on the floor and eating food and living like that. But VIV MEA being a species which is actually like will be there in the water column, just like fishes. So they will be swimming around and taking food so that the density can be more in the case of VIV MEA. But actually, like the problem with the monodon, 1 to 2 ton is the common production. Anyway, now we are taking 5 ton, 10 ton like that. But this is the normal production, and VIV MEA, the normal pond production is only 3 to 4 ton. But now there are people, farmers, successful farmers, they take more 10 ton or 12 ton like that in polythene lined poles. But as far as Asian countries are concerned, now most of the production, more than 70% is coming from the earthen ponds in the conventional system. Now there is a trend that we can increase the production to 20 to 30 kg per cubic meter even with the advanced RAS and indoor culture facilities. And indoor system, actually RAS system has been well discussed in the morning by Dr. Gobomar, so I'm not actually going much into that. But this is actually, indoor system is very much useful because you have a better water quality conditions everywhere in all the aspects, and the water reuse can be 90 to 99% is possible, and FCR is you get better FCR from the system, and actually the improved microbial stability is very important. That is actually we can achieve on 40 to 50% more effectively, and there is possibility of a sensor based monitoring system for all the water quality parameters. And there is a trend of actually AI and automation very much actually integrated into this RAS rearing technology of the shrimp. So normally, while we are actually doing the culture in outdoor conditions, there is always problem with there can be salinity variation, there can be rains, there can be temperature variations and all. So in the indoor condition under controlled climatic conditions, it is very much easy to control all the parameters and take better production. So Dr. Manoj Sharma has already actually spoken to you about the dual phase, or actually like in 3-phase rearing system. Likewise, so the university also actually conducted this kind of system wherein the nursery, the hatchery people will sell the product at the age of PL10 or PL12 maximum. So they can be reared at a stocking density of 1,500 to 3,000 PL per cubic meter, and you can achieve 85 to 95, 92%. And even Dr. Manoj is telling even 90 to 100% survival is possible. But actually we have calculated it as actually 92% maximum. And the growth speed is very high. Actually in the normal pond system, compared to normal pond system, that speed is plus 25 to 35%. And actually you get a very strong start and predictable grow out system. So that grading actually reduces size variation to 30 to 40%, and that will actually cuts the cannibalism, because as you know there will be frequent molting and there can be chance of little bit of cannibalism inside the system, so that will be cut to significant percentage. So actually in the grow out we put 200 to 300 pieces per cubic meter, in wherein we have the we are getting the FCR of 1:1, sometimes even 1:1.3. Then that particular cycle, the final cycle will be 75 to 90 days, and the biomass will be ultimately 5 to 6 kg per cubic meter. This can be achievable on a consistent manner. And normally the round tanks are more preferred. There is no dead space, and there is a system with a 32 meter diameter tank with a 1000 cubic meter capacity. As you know, 16 into 16 into 3.14 into 1.25 is the total volume, water volume. So we will maintain a depth of 1.5 to 2 meter, but we'll, as far as possible, we'll keep the water depth as 1.25, and the rest will be freeboard. And the first nursery phase, we will actually do the nursery 1, then nursery 2, then grow out. So the last final tank is basically used for the grow out purpose. And it is done in a very cost effective manner. We are not actually going with high intensive, capital intensive concrete tanks and all, but we use actually the GI pipes, and properly some measures are used to have better reinforcement, and also the silpoline sheets are used to make the tanks. So likewise, with a investment of maybe 25 to 50,000 USD, you can make such a system, which will be rate of return will be within 3 to 4 years you can catch the money back. And in the case of the water source and minerals strategy, so indoor system, the most important advantage being the alkalinity you can control very well, because there is always chance of actually declining the alkalinity, which is a great problem as far as the shrimp culture is concerned. So in this case, we can control the alkalinity very well, but a little bit of addition of sodium bicarbonate, potassium bicarbonate, then calcium and magnesium hardness boosters and trace mineral mixture from different companies can actually make the culture successful. And in indoors, the alkalinity drop is a major problem that has to be specially taken care of. And water treatment and filtration, you have sophisticated equipments. I'm not dealing with it actually, Dr. Gobumar has already actually discussed these points. So in the market, very expensive equipments are there, but actually we used very budget friendly equipments only in our system. And so semi-biofloc is a very common trend, which is used by the farmers and also some entrepreneurs. So the 20 to 35% of daily protein requirement is actually met by the semi-biofloc system, and it will actually increase the heterotrophic biomass by 0.5 to 1.2 gram per liter. Then improves FCR from 1.4 to 1:1.4 to 1.6 to 1:1 to 1.3. then which will reduce the feed cost by 12 to 22%. And it will also help the system by actually promoting Vibrio suppressing gut bacteria. So that even 30 to 50% increment is there in this kind of actually like good bacteria in the gut system. And it boosts digestive enzyme activity by 15 to 25%. And this is AI-enabled water quality management. So it is very much useful and it's very much applicable, very handy, that you can monitor all the water quality parameters which are actually done, DO, then pH, then temperature, salinity, ORP, everything can be, and even it will track the TAN and nitrite, then even nitrate, everything. And the AI-based database actually will help you to know when the ammonia will be boosted up, and because you have the entire database, and that will be useful in that sense. Then optimizes feeding schedules, then provides water exchange alerts. So at this point of time, you have to exchange the water, such kind of alarms you will get. Then estimate the proper estimation of biofloc density is important, then enables alarm-based risk mitigation. So high productivity is actually envisaged by this. As I told you, 5 to 6 kg per meter cube. Then high survival rate due to stable environment, strong biosecurity and disease reduction, market flexibility and year-round harvest. So like the farmers are facing there will be middlemen and there will be exporters playing in this one. And whenever they get a shrimp price reduction, so naturally the farmers will be in trouble. They cannot do anything about it. But in this case, you can periodically harvest from the pond and from the system and sell. So we have successful entrepreneurs in our state itself, wherein they give 1 ton per day, something like that, so that the supermarkets and are actually catered very well, and they will fetch very high prices too. Then we get better size uniformity in this particular system, and minimal environmental footprint also is noticed. And this is actually a Vietnamese model. My student actually, he's doing his PhD work, and he was sent to Vietnam, and over there are excellent models like this. Young entrepreneurs are there in the market, they can sell it. So then some challenges are discussed and the solutions. So salinity drop is a challenge, I told you. So better, that's why other than using brackish water, the seawater is better as far as in this particular concern is to be addressed. Then regular mineralization is to be there. Then high stocking stress is actually controlled by structured 3-phase rearing. Then water quality fluctuation is controlled by AI and sensor-based modeling. Then sludge buildup is controlled by multi-level gravity drainage. And high energy use is controlled by solar and VFD pumps. So in this case, the nursery tanks, the primary nursery tank will be 1 foot above. Then the secondary nursery tank will be 1 foot below. Then the grow tank will be there again 1 foot below. So likewise, the unit is designed in such a way that there will be 3 feet difference between these 1 foot each, so that the animals can be changed from one system to the other by gravity. So the future directions will be renewable energy powered RAS system. So nowadays we have a beautiful project by our government of India. It's called PMMSY, Prime Minister's Matsya Sampada Yojana, with almost $2 billion plus US dollars. So over using that particular thing, many people have actually using this renewable energy sources for running the RAS. Then genetic improvement programs are very much there in the system. And zero liquid discharge systems are also promoted. Then robotics for harvesting and sludge removal is there. Then smart feed automation is also being practiced in some units. And with this, I conclude my presentation. This is our program in the coming year, 2026. We are organizing it CWEET 26, wherein, as a matter of mandatory thing, I'm just giving a slide on this. And VIV MEA is there. Then a new trend is actually the crab, mud crab. As you know, mud crabs are very, very expensive food item as far as the trade is concerned. And nowadays, just like in the mud crab, in the white spot syndrome virus, in the mud crab also there is a viral problem called mud crab Rio virus. So everywhere, if you harvest, in Southeast Asia, it's a very popular species, including India. But whenever you are taking out a crab and assessing the crab, so it has this Rio virus presence. So I don't know, you people are aware about the macrobrachium story, which was like after the VIV MEA, after the monodon got collapsed, many people switched over to macrobrachium rosenbergi, Indian, that freshwater prawn, Malaysian freshwater prawn. But over there also there is a white-tail disease actually happened, and by 2005 the industry got fully collapsed. And same problem is there in the mud crab also. So if you have to actually promote the shrimp farming or mud crab or whatever crustaceans are there, we have to go for the disease-free zones and disease-free environments. Then make the Floridan model. We have to actually have the SPF broodstock and so on. Then you have actually very good future. So in the Middle East, this particular system wherein the indoor farming with very limited area, with with very expensive equipments and technologies, you can have this kind of system and immediately fetch back the money whatever you invested. So I have an experience that the nearby country of this region, they constructed a very huge facility with yet another partner from other continent, and they invested $500 million and the system actually couldn't perform well, and so that's a tragedy for sure, as far as any aquaculture person is concerned or scientist is concerned. But the thing is that whenever you are actually making this kind of facilities, you can always go for budget friendly systems, so that you are actually getting the money immediately back. And always whenever you are doing this kind of things, the research activities should be also happening in a parallel fashion, so that you get a positive result throughout the culture period. With this I conclude, and if at all any doubt, just I am open to